Hello there, good evening. It's Monday the 16th of June. Welcome to the First Look North of the week. As the government announces a national inquiry into the sexual exploitation of children, we hear from those who lived through it and what they want.
The amount of information you could gather from looking at Bradford and Keighley, you would be able to then, it would absolutely blow Rotherham out of the water.
A decade on from the Rotherham scandal, we look at how lessons from the town might inform the national inquiry. Also tonight, helping the Roma community to health. Life expectancy is currently 10 years below average.
For Halifax, 7 years after their last triumph in this competition.
Emotion in motion. The Halifax Panthers grab the Wheelchair Rugby League Cup. And we're treasure hunting in Bradford as the Antiques Roadshow rocks up at Cartwright Hall.
And temperatures on the rise this week, but just how hot will it get? I'll have more details for you towards the end of the programme.
Hello there, I hope you had a lovely weekend. Welcome to the programme. Tonight, the Home Secretary has promised to tackle the sexual abuse and exploitation of children and put perpetrators behind bars. Speaking in the House of Commons, Yvette Cooper announced the findings of a new report into grooming gangs across England and Wales. The report says there was a collective failure to address questions about the ethnicity of grooming gangs. Even though more research is needed, the report says there was disproportionality of group-based child sexual exploitation offending by men of Asian ethnicity. Now, the report recommends new laws to protect children and support victims, new major police operations and research, a new national inquiry to direct local investigations and hold institutions to account, new action across children's services to identify those at risk. Earlier this year, the government did dismiss calls for a national inquiry on the basis that the issue had already been examined in 2022. Well, now the National Crime Agency will lead an operation to help police forces reopen 800 historic cases, aiming to bring long-awaited justice to victims. Our correspondent Emma Glasby has been getting reaction from survivors in Yorkshire and asking if it's enough.
Rotherham, where the scale of child sexual grooming and abuse was exposed 11 years ago. Elizabeth was exploited in this town from the age of 14. Her abuser was finally brought to justice when the National Crime Agency investigated her case. Now it's been announced the NCA will oversee a national operation by police to target grooming gangs.
I believe if my journey weren't with the National Crime Agency, then I probably wouldn't have got justice.
So maybe it'll make that difference for other victims as well?
Absolutely, yeah. But I still think that we can't keep relying on the National Crime Agency to be mopping up a mess that the police forces have put in themselves. Because one day, the National Crime Agency might not have capacity to do this, and then what?
Today in the Commons, the government announced the details of a review into grooming gangs by Baroness Casey. The Home Secretary said in future, ethnicity details must be gathered in all child sexual abuse cases.
Baroness Casey's audit examined local-level data in 3 police force areas, Greater Manchester, West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire, where high-profile cases involving Pakistani heritage men have long been investigated and reported, and there they found the suspects of group-based child sexual offences were disproportionately likely to be Asian men.
In Bradford, Fiona has long called for more investigation into the abuse of children in her city. She was abused and exploited when she was living in a children's home. Today, the government said a national inquiry would direct local investigations, and Fiona says Bradford must be part of that.
Every single grooming case I've heard of all had links to Bradford. They all got abused by people from Bradford or got trafficked to Bradford. The amount of information you could gather from looking at Bradford and Keighley, it would absolutely blow Rotherham out of the water. And I think this is what they're scared of, and this is why they won't do it. But if they did, it'd be so beneficial for the bigger picture.
But we don't yet have details of where any local inquiries will be. A solicitor who represents victims in Yorkshire says accountability matters to the survivors of this abuse, and that's what they need from any local investigations.
I'm convinced that a good independent reviewer, having access to the documentation and to the staff in Bradford Council, would get to the heart of it, yes.
Do you feel like that's what's been missing, accountability for those people who were in positions of power and knew what was happening at the time?
Yeah, it was missing from Rotherham. The council there, even after Professor Jay's report, allowed these individuals to retire without being disciplined, even though they were aware that they had made mistakes, to put it politely.
The government claims this is the strongest action ever taken on child sexual exploitation, but it will need resources for inquiries, for police and the courts. Survivors will no doubt be watching, hoping that others won't be failed like they were. Emma Glasby, BBC Look North.
Well, keeping with this, earlier I spoke to Sarah Champion, the Labour MP for Rotherham. Now, she was initially against a public inquiry, but her viewpoint has now changed.
Well, I think for me, the last thing I wanted was to spend taxpayers' money on yet another report that just sat in a drawer. But quite quickly, it became apparent to me that the public have lost trust with the statutory agencies because over years, over decades, we've seen people be failed when they're trying to report grooming gangs. And we need a line drawn under this once and for all. And that's why quite quickly I decided, the only way that we can do this is by a national inquiry that's got statutory powers to compel people to tell the truth once and for all.
So, Champion, we know that local forces are stretched, local authorities are stretched. There's the issues of county lines, online abuse of children. Will all that go by the wayside for this?
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? We've got a very reduced police budget. So what do you prioritise? I mean, I would argue that prioritising protecting children has to be way up there. And so the thing that I'm most excited about from the announcement today is the fact that the National Crime Agency are going to be involved. In Rotherham, we've had the absolute privilege of working with them for the last, I think, 7 years. And they've led on all of the past grooming gang cases with a huge success rate. So the fact that they're going to interject there.
Sorry, Sarah, I just need to interject there. They have been involved with Rotherham. We've had the Alexis J report. We've had the Dame Casey. We've had the Dame Baroness Casey report. So, what exactly is this going to achieve for places like Rotherham?
Well, one of the things that I hope is, rather than seeing all these cases in isolation, the National Crime Agency can see the bigger picture. Because I don't know about you, you've been covering this for years and years as well. And we keep on seeing the exact same pattern of behaviour happening without anyone joining the dots and thinking that it might be organised or connected in some way. So having that national oversight, I really hope will enable us to disrupt and break this pattern of behaviour.
We are still waiting for clarification on what the local investigations will be. Do we know if any of them will be in Yorkshire? MP Robbie Moore has made it very clear he's disappointed that Bradford and Keighley haven't been mentioned yet.
I don't think it's helpful for the government to specify a couple of places where the investigations are going to go on. What we need to see is that every single police force and local authority is held to account to make sure that they are fit, ready and active in preventing this particular crime. There is no area that will be able to say that they haven't got some form of grooming gangs going on. They might not be gangs of Pakistani heritage, but there will be some form of this abuse happening. So
is it still happening in Rotherham, Sarah Champion?
I would say that the online process is definitely still happening, but as a police chief a couple of years ago said, you'd be pretty stupid in Rotherham to do this particular type of grooming. So I can't say that it's stopped, but I will definitely say the number of victims and survivors coming to me because they're not getting justice has dropped dramatically.
And do you think there are people working in the local authority in Rotherham that are still turning a blind eye to this?
I mean, I would be appalled if that's proved to be the case. What we've seen in Rotherham in the last 10 years is a complete change of staff, a complete change of leadership, a complete change of practice. So if there is a rotten apple in there that is still preventing justice, I want to know who they are and I want them gone. And worse than that, if they're actually in some way preventing justice being done, they need to be dealt with accordingly.
Sarah Champion, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
OK, let's move away from this now and look at some other stories coming into the newsroom. Tributes have been paid to a student and keen cricketer who was killed in the Air India plane crash. 23-year-old Dirta Patel, who studied at the University of Huddersfield, was one of 241 people who died when a plane travelling from Ahmedabad to London crashed on Thursday. Two men who died within days of each other in Scarborough cul-de-sac, triggering an evacuation of nearby residents, passed away from natural causes, police have confirmed. North Yorkshire Police were called to Gatesgarth Close after the death of a 49-year-old man on the 21st of May. The second man, aged 69, died 5 days later in an adjoining property. A post-mortem concluded there were no environmental factors at the properties which could have contributed to the deaths of the men. A woman is in hospital after being hit by a bus in Leeds city centre this afternoon. Emergency services were called to Vicar Lane just before 2 p.m. West Yorkshire Police say a cordon remained in place for investigations and people were advised to avoid the area. Thousands of households in York are due to get wheelie bins for the first time. Deliveries of the new bins start today to people in the Micklegate and Heworth wards, ending the need for them to just put out bin bags on the street. You are watching Monday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Army veterans go back to school to inspire a new generation with real history lessons. GPs in Yorkshire are working to improve the health of the Roma community, as government data shows their life expectancy is 10 years shorter than average. A weekly drop-in clinic in Hare Hills in Leeds is coming to the end of a 6-month trial, but it's hoped that that will be extended. The government says social exclusion, a lack of education and poor living conditions all contribute towards the health problems that they face. Our communities reporter Arzu Dutta has more.
GP services in Hare Hills are working together to make healthcare easier to access for the local Roma Gypsy community. They've been trialling a weekly drop-in clinic where people can get help booking appointments, have basic healthcare checks and even get NHS letters translated. Constantine came to the clinic to get help booking a doctor's appointment. It might seem like a simple task, but for him it's not. Roma isn't a written language, and he never had the chance to learn how to read or write. Like many in the Roma Gypsy community, he missed out on an education in his home country, often because of discrimination against the traveller community.
This makes our life harder than how it is for others. It's why we miss appointments and don't know how to explain ourselves, or to read the letter and say whether we can accept that appointment or not. If I get a letter at home and I bring it to the GP practice, I don't get support. But when I bring it to this drop-in, we come with our letter and someone can explain what it means, which helps us to move forward with our health.
The idea came from Lydia, who's been working hard to connect her community with the local GP services.
All their life they be marginalised and it's not integrated in society, and they feel like they're left behind. I listened to the people, I listened to their needs, and they told me we need this kind of stuff in the GP practice.
Violetta spent years feeling marginalised by her GP practice until this group started.
I came here to book an appointment and there was another woman in front of me who was white, and the receptionist spoke to her so nicely, was being friendly and smiling with that person, and when it was my turn, she saw me, and because I'm Roma, she put her head down and didn't give me the support I need. It makes me feel frustrated. I was crying. I feel like my health is not valued.
This 6-month trial has been funded by GP practices and the council, but it's coming to an end. Next on Lydia's to-do list is securing further funding to continue the progress. Arzu Dutta, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Now, almost 100 Leeds United fans have spent the weekend recovering after walking 120 miles from Newcastle to Leeds last week. The event was in memory of the football manager Gary Speed, who took his own life in 2011. The walk raised more than £51,000 for the men's suicide prevention charity Andy's Man Club. Well, earlier I asked organiser Michael Normanton how it all went.
It was brilliant, and I'm feeling quite tired. Is the bottom line of it, but no, it was a great experience.
You're one of the organisers of this event. Logistically, how much goes into it? Because it's the third year and you've added more miles year on year, haven't you?
Yeah, it's kind of like organising a big holiday in some ways, that you've got to try and book hotels for everyone and cram everyone into a limited amount of rooms and things. And then this time around the route was quite difficult as well, because there's a lot of trying to avoid main roads and things where possible and make it scenic if you can, but also trying to get there as fast as possible for a lot of it.
What is the atmosphere like on this walk? Because you're all football fans. What's the camaraderie like? What are the conversations on the route?
The last one we did was after a relegation, so this time around there's a bit more buzz about it, I suppose. But
Sure.
the general vibe of it is amazing. People are no one on this is an athlete. We're just very ordinary Leeds fans who've got together to try and do a thing. So it's all really about just pulling each other over the line on it, and yeah, everyone's kind of on the same page. We're concerned on that.
And the thing that you're raising awareness of is mental health and the story of Gary Speed. Why is it so important to keep Gary Speed's story alive?
I think for Leeds fans, he was someone who had obviously won the league title for us, had come through the youth system, and on the face of it had everything going for him still. He was managing Wales, he was successful, he was handsome, he had kind of, on the face of it, had absolutely everything, but clearly was struggling with something in the background. And I think, as far as Leeds fans are concerned, the impact of learning about that and maybe the way it changed some perceptions around mental health, I think is something that it affected everyone at the time, and it's, to this day, I think it's something people still carry with them.
And is it something that comes up on these walks? Do men open up more? Because we know historically they don't.
An awful lot, I think, yeah, and it probably helps, I think, as well, that there's sometimes you're speaking to a range of people across the day as well, whereas maybe sometimes if you're speaking to only people you know or people in your family or close friends, you maybe don't open up in the same way as sometimes you will do with a stranger. So you'll find yourself maybe at a bit of a low ebb walking, and you'll just end up talking with someone about life.
Well, put your feet up. Well done.
Thank you.
And well done to all of those Leeds fans who took part. Hope the feet are OK. Let's keep with a little bit of sport now. Sally's here, and there's been a party in Halifax, I hear.
Yeah, let's start there, shall we, with those celebrations, shall we? Because at the weekend, the Halifax Panthers lifted the Wheelchair Rugby League Challenge Cup for the first time in 7 years. England international Rob Hawkins scored 2 first-half tries against London Roosters to inspire a 46-24 victory on Saturday. He was named the world's best player last year, and he's already been called up to England's training squad ahead of their Australia tour later this year, alongside Panthers teammate Jack Brown. I caught up with Rob earlier, and he was still recovering from a bruising encounter.
I'm actually really sore. It was, as I stated, it was a really physical game. When we were going to play, we knew how that was going to be, but I didn't expect to be feeling it 2 days later. I think for us, well, for myself, I want to win all the trophies. So we've got one already. We've got 2 more to go. We've got the Super League title, and we've also got league leaders. So I think that is the big challenge for me personally, is we have to keep performing as well as we did, if not better, in that Challenge Cup final, to actually make the grand final, as well as perform well in the Super League, so that we can get the league leaders and be top at table.
And in Super League, Wakefield were edged out by Lee in an emotional home fixture. The game was dedicated to Wakefield coach Darryl Powell's grandson Clark, who's been receiving treatment for leukemia. Clark led the teams onto the pitch, carried by his mother Keegan, with money being raised for children's cancer charity Candlelighters. Wakefield went into the lead at 65 minutes, but a late try from Lee stole the win, with Trinity losing by 20 points to 24. Now, one of our most famous non-league football clubs is set to get new owners. The current manager, David Stockdale, and his family have agreed to buy the club. Earlier this year, the board said they were facing a financial battle to survive because of delays installing a new pitch, with home games being played 70 miles away in Buxton. And netball said goodbye to one of its biggest stars at the weekend, the Leeds Rhinos player and former England international Jiva Mentor, as she played the final game of her career. Now, Mentor has been a real trailblazer of the sport, twice being named the world's best netballer and playing for her country 175 times. She finished her career with the Rhinos in their last game of the Netball Super League season, an 80-61 defeat by Nottingham Forest, before being given a Guard of Honour. An absolute superstar is Jiva.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Sal. Now, it has been a very special day for learning history at a primary school in Meltham in West Yorkshire today. A real hands-on experience, some might say, because the children have been hearing about World War II from veterans who actually served in the 1960s and 70s and remember its aftermath growing up. With props and stories, they've been bringing history very much to life. Kathy Killick reports.
Filing in with military precision because today the Year 5s at Meltham CFE Primary School have some important visitors.
We are the Huddersfield and District Army Veterans Association.
4 Army veterans have come supplied to give a real-life history lesson.
We're explaining to the children what it was like during the war and after war, and we bring our bits and bats in for them to play with eventually.
This is hands-on history, and the wartime toys go down a treat. A dial phone is a novelty, and it's all supplementing work the children have been doing to mark 80 years since VE Day.
I feel happy that they have the chance to come in and share this, because some children wouldn't like and learn about this, but now that we have actual veterans coming and talking to us, it feels nice.
It's really interesting, like the food rationed and all the toys that they had.
The joy that greeted the end of the war meant many people wanted to move on and leave it behind, but the veterans don't want it forgotten, so they're making sure this new generation understands its lessons.
If it wasn't for our generation, or guys that never came back from war, they would be speaking a different language today. And I strongly believe that they should know what we've all been through.
The visit lasts just over an hour, but the understanding imparted may well last a lifetime.
Thank you!
You're welcome.
Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Meltham.
Well, they're not going to forget that history lesson, are they? Now, I don't know about you, but I love a little bit of Antiques Roadshow on a Sunday evening. And it was all lights, camera, action at the Cartwright Hall in Bradford yesterday as filming of the new series began. People from across Yorkshire were invited to bring their prized possessions for valuation for 3 episodes to be filmed in the city. Dozens of experts were on hand to share their specialist knowledge as well. And our reporter, Jacob Tomlinson, went for a little nosy behind the scenes.
When you hear this sound, you immediately picture a gorgeous summer's day, an abundance of items in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and of course...
Welcome to the Antiques Roadshow.
Fiona Bruce. Well, in its 48th season, more than 2,000 people came to the roadshow in the City of Culture, in the hope of getting that all-important valuation.
It's been brilliant. The weather's beautiful. It's a proud moment because you want to be part of the, Antiques Roadshow, and now that it's here down the road from where I live, it's just another thing for us to be connected to.
I couldn't help but notice that you've got a peculiar looking item in your hand. Just tell me a little bit about it.
This is a violin. It's an old violin that belonged to an old relative of mine from Vienna. He was a player apparently. I don't know much about it. I don't know whether it's of any note, but I'm here to find out.
It never gets old. It's just such a wonderful atmosphere, environment when we come onto set, as it were. I just feel so grateful that they will stand in a queue for potentially hours and then to see what they've got and to, most of the time make their day. Occasionally we might ruin their day, but generally everybody walks away very happy.
From welcoming His Majesty the King only a month ago, this time Cartwright Hall played host to TV royalty.
Every day is different. You never know what you're going to see, who you're going to meet, what stories they're going to tell you. And that's the lovely thing about the programme and why I don't know, how long has it been going? 40 odd years, 45 maybe, something like that. It still feels fresh. Oh, it's great coming to Bradford. I'm mostly City of Culture year, so it's perfect. Fantastic accolade to get for the city. And yeah, how lovely for us. I mean, it's a privilege for us to be part of it.
The experts valued more than 90 items across the day itself, and the filming will culminate in 3 episodes of the programme, which are due to air later this year. Jacob Tomlinson, BBC Look North, Bradford.
What people really want to know is, how much is it worth? That's the only reason they're there, isn't it? I think, anyway. Hello, good to see you.
Hello, good to see you too. How was Gary Barlow?
Oh my gosh, it was the best concert and the weather was gorgeous, so the downpours didn't come till much later.
Oh, good.
And do you know what? During A Million Love Songs, a couple got engaged.
Stop it.
Yes,
that's like a dream.
The song.
Especially with that song.
I know.
A Million Love Songs, yeah.
You sing it, sister.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And actually, if anyone knows the couple who got engaged at the Gary Barlow concert in Scarborough on Friday, then we would love them to get in touch. I'll give you our email address.
Oh yeah, please get in touch. That'll be amazing. Thank you for that. This morning, I think, was for the best of our weather. We had lots of sunshine around here. You can see from our first picture here, clear blue sky. The second photo here just shows us this afternoon there was a bit of cloud building, but as you can see, really good breaks in that cloud that still allowed for those sunny spells. So all in all, it's been a lovely day. So thank you as always for sending in your pictures. If you'd like your picture on the telly, you can send it in to us via social media, or you can head straight to the Weather Watchers website. So it looks like tomorrow is going to be another fine day. It's just the further west you are, you do run the risk of seeing a little bit of patchy rain. It's not going to be heavy. It's going to be very light in nature. It's actually coming in here on this weather front. That's going to sink southeastwards, but it will weaken. It's a weakening feature. And then just behind, you can see this area of high pressure that's going to build right across the UK. So there's going to be lots of sunshine on the way through the rest of the week, and actually there's a very good chance we could be in a heat wave later on in the week. The weekend, for example, temperatures could be very close to 30 degrees. So this evening and overnight it's going to be dry with long clear spells, a moderate westerly breeze, and under those clear skies temperatures will fall away to around 12 to 13 degrees. So it is going to feel mild into our Tuesday morning. See you next high water Scarborough at 8:54 tomorrow morning, then Filey at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So tomorrow overall, I think the further east you are, you're going to hold on to the best of the dry conditions with good spells of sunshine. It's just here on that weather front that rain is going to start to push in, but as it does track eastwards, really losing its intensity, most of it's going to clear with highs of 21 degrees. And as mentioned, a heat wave on the way later this week.
Sounds glorious. Thank you, Katrina. Look.north@bbc.co.uk. If you know the couple who got engaged on Friday at the Gary Barlow concert, get in touch with us.